Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We are going to be kicking off part two. Now, I was gonna say Corey's office makeover,
But I have a confession to make. It's not his office anymore.
we actually changed it up, and it's going to do a full wardrobe in that room. And Corey decided to take his office into a different room, as we have 4 bedrooms upstairs. Now, we do have a separate office, the one that I'm recording in right now. So essentially, this house had 2 different offices, so it just didn't make sense. Even though he works from home a little bit over more of 50% of the time, he can work in the other room, and I have plans for that room that he's working on that I can incorporate his desk. With that being said, it is now December 3rd. So, as you can tell, I'm way behind on the Christmas videos, but I promise you that is also coming soon.
What is it?
We're just waiting for a lot of different things in terms of decorations and where we're putting things, amongst of a lot of other different projects going on at the same time. For example, the main bathroom, which I'm kind of recording in between this as well. So not only do we have the wardrobe going on, we still have the bathroom addition that we're still working on with the permit in the city, and we're also working on that main bathroom to try to get that up to speed while we work on other things. So there's a lot of moving pieces here. So kind of giving you a little backstory before we jump into the wardrobe series part two. Now in this part two video, we're going to be doing the 3D home planner app that we designed the space with, as well as painting the space, doing a little bit more of demolition. And I think the lighting and electrical work may get into this video as well. I didn't do much. You will see in this video that I put 3 receptacles on that wall. However, we ended up taking 2 of them out and putting sconces in there. You may see that in this part 2 video, if not the part 3, because this office actually did, or wardrobe, actually did end up becoming a lot more than it is. Such as example, I had to rip the subfloor out, put whole new subfloor in, and we were going to do carpet, but of course that changed into me doing waterproof laminate flooring for that wood texture. And I never laid floor before, so that definitely took quite some time. And then I was making a lot of changes during the renovation, such as what to paint, what to keep wood, etc. But needless to say, it is all coming together. Actually, today is one of the final days I'm wrapping up that whole wardrobe series. So we're gonna rename this from Corey's Office Wardrobe Series to the Wardrobe Series now. But enough of me ranting. Let's go ahead and roll this film and get to it.
All right, so now we're going to be doing the Room Planner app. Now, if everyone remembers, this is Room Planner 3D app. Highly recommend this app. You can do a ton with this program by doing tons of floor plans, adding in a bunch of furniture item, from plants to decor to furniture. It's a really, really nice app. So if you can see on the screen here, we already have our office drawn out. It is more so of a half octagon type office. I think I got it kind of down pat to how the office is actually positioned. Honestly, the really only parts I really care about for this particular planning out is these 2 walls, because we're actually going to be adding in built-in wardrobes on each side. So these are only 2 sides I really care about for now. So now that we have the room drawn down with the measurements, I'm actually going to open the 3D plan. So we go ahead and click that, and it gives us an outlook of the room. And this is exactly how the office looks. So this is perfect. The only thing that we need to do is add in our windows. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to click build, windows indoors, click windows. Hopefully they have something similar to what we have in that office at the moment. For our window, we know the size is a 32 by 43 type window. So hopefully I can find that size. All right, so I think we found a close window to what we're looking for. We have a 35 by 47. Again, that's not our window, but it is close enough. So let's go ahead and add that to the space. They are in, oh, you can customize the size. I can totally keep forgetting about that. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and click off of that and go back to a window that actually looks like our windows, which will be this one. We could do custom. Just zero these out. We know the height is 32. Whoops. And we know the width is 43. All right, let's see. Oh my God, that is perfect. Excellent, excellent. So we're going to copy this, put these on the window, because this is just how it is in our office. They're a little bit more closer than that in actual real life, but that should be fine. Okay, so now that we have the windows placed, let's go ahead and skip all these options. Let's go ahead and work on our wardrobe because that's the most important thing. So we're going to go back to build, and then we're actually going to be doing, where is our furniture? Oh, not seating furniture. We want to do cabinets and shelves. Wonderful. Now that's a little big, so that's what I was afraid about the width wise of it. Okay, so now that we got that down pat, let's go ahead and copy this for our other side. Turn that around. This one's red for some reason, I think because it's impeding on something. The wall, perhaps. Okay, it's more fine and dandy. Now that we have this, we need to get our door added to this space. So we're going to go back to build. We're going to put in our door. We know our door is a 32 by 80. So let's look for that door. Actually, I could just use this one and customize it. 32. All right. And we know the door comes from 32 inches from the side. And then we know in terms of 32 inches on the ruler will be 2 feet 8, which is exactly where I am. So perfect. So the door will open just like that. I wish I could add a glass in this door because that's exactly glass is in our door, so that would be nice. So we'll have two wardrobes on each side. They'll be built in, of course, and then the rest would be, of course, office. So let's go ahead and see if we can add a desk in here. We're going to do tables and chairs. You see desk. I'm thinking something very simple. Wood, of course. Let's just try this one for kicks and giggles. Right underneath the window. That would be perfect. Okay, we're gonna add the chair in. Gosh, I love that they do IKEA furniture, everybody. That's just amazing. Just zoom in, turn the chair around, put it at the desk. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. And the floors. So in terms of the floors, what I was thinking of doing, we have carpet right now, but we're actually going to end up taking the floors out. Some of the section was damaged, but we could reuse it. However, upon removing the cabinets that were in there already, we discovered the carpet did not run underneath the cabinets themselves. So that means they just laid it around it, which kind of expected. So that's going to be fine. I'm actually thinking of doing a cork floor. I've never work with that, a floating style cork floor. So let's see if we can find that. We don't want parquet laminate. We want to see if they have cork on here. Do like a light ash wood. It's perfectly fine. For the built-ins, they're actually going to be the color of the room, which is Urbane Bronze. So we're going to edit that color to a material. And Urbane Bronze is like a very, very dark gray green from what I recall. So we can go ahead and mess with the color. I kind of want to just pick from there. One, there we go. I'm gonna do the same thing with this one. Edit colors. Make sure you click the wardrobe cabinet itself. Colors. This one. And let's go ahead and paint the rest of the room that color as well. I think it was this one. It is for certain going to be a darker, moody office, which is kind of similar to mine that you all saw on this channel, which is perfectly fine. We love a moody office. This office gets sun as well, so we're not really worried about it being too dark. Okay, and looks like that already turned green too. I meant the color. Oh, that looks beautiful already. I wish you could change like the hardware on the cabinets themselves, but that's a little pushing it. In terms of a light, I have no idea what we want to do the light, and I don't know if I want to color drench the room, meaning I don't know if I want to paint the ceiling. However, one thing we do know is I want to change out this light. So I love a nice brown or tan. Just gonna act like that's in the center. We can imaginate that that was in the center. I don't know what that color is doing, but that's done in terms of that. Oh, so other thing I wanted to do in the space, everybody, is that I want to do shelves above the windows. And you'll see on the video I'll show you, there's already like a shelf there that was the support for the built-ins. So I kind of just want to go off of that in terms of the height of what I'm thinking. So let's see if we can do that. Something because you can use a lot of their woods and stuff to, decorate your space, which I love. We know this wall is 46 and a half, I believe. So let's just do 46 and see what shelf comes out with. There we go. We're gonna add a shelf here too. One here as well. And I can change the dimensions later. Okay. So this wall is 5 by 8. So wonderful. Excellent. That looks good. So this is kind of exactly what I'm thinking in terms of the shelf system. Part of the demolition, you will see me taking 3 lights that's underneath these shelves. And there's 3 wires there. So what I'm thinking of doing is actually adding in some wall outlets to plug in one. I'm actually thinking of doing the only one outlet here where the light is and just coming off that wiring. And then also doing 2 lamps here on each side of the room. I'm not too entirely sure if I'm going to do that in terms of 2 lights here or just do all outlets. It depends on what kind of lights Core wants in his office for mood lighting because I know he loves that. So we all love a good lamp, so I might just honestly do all outlets to plug in things. Like our Wi-Fi router, we have like a mesh system that we keep like little pods everywhere in the house. So to be able to plug that in up top of here would be nice. So on and so forth, a diffuser on the top and then another lamp on the top. So there's options there. So this is currently what I'm thinking of Core's office. I am going to add in a rug just to finish off the space a little bit. Let's see, go to decorations, rugs. We love a good mid-century rug. I really want let's see what they got. Let's see if they have it. course, none of this is going to be final, everybody. I'm just getting some colors out there. And I think this look good. Just, of course, we'll have a bigger rug. So this is what I'm thinking in terms of Corey's office. You have the wardrobes, you have his office, you have the windows for just sunlight and everything. And also we'll have somewhere for our clothes and everything, because as you know, we are converting the outdoor closet hallway system into a master bathroom. So now that we have the layout down, let's go ahead and get back to some demolition.
Okay, so we are back a couple of days later. We are in Cora's office, and as you can see, I took down a ton. A lot more than I anticipated. We ended up doing all the cabinets just because it ended up making sense. It just looked weird with having the one side taken down and not the other, and then having this weird, awkward, just cabinets there, and then how they had the kind of like the shelves built, they weren't flat to the wall, so I had to cut them and you would just be able to see it. So we just decided to take it all down, and then it's probably most likely have a shelf here, kind of like it is now. This is getting removed, but I will put new shelves up. I actually wish that I saved the wood now because it's already gone. The city already picked it up. However, that's fine. We could just use some new wood. So next thing that we need to get done in this office, we have two colors that we're deciding on, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. But we also need to finish doing some demolition. I'm going to leave the carpet down for now while we do paint the office. And then I need to also patch a lot of holes. The person that did these built-ins, and I'll show you around that they did illustrations, they drew on the wall what they were putting in this office. Really cool. But I need to patch a lot of holes. They were not shy of using a lot of holes. I'm the type of person who's overkill it as well. So, hey, I don't blame you. It stayed there for centuries, and sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But now that we have those steps kind of knocked down, I kind of want to show you the colors that we have picked out for this office. We're going to do two. So let's get to that. We actually did pick a color. Corey came in and automatically picked the Muddled Basil, which is a really, really, really dark green, which I'm really happy about. I was kind of curious if he was going to go with the Urbane Bronze. And I know I did say that I was afraid of two greens being in the house because of my office is green as well. But this is such a different green. I think it's going to work well. In my office is the Olive Tate, and here it's going to be a Muddled Basil, much darker, much, I would say a little bit more warmer in terms of colors. So I'm really excited to see that in here. But anyway, now that we have the color picked out, I'm actually going to go around the room and start painting in terms of priming. A lot of this office has just the drywall and never was primed because they had all the built-ins that you see me ripped out. But I'm going to prime a lot of things, starting with around this door frame in any areas that I know I don't need to patch anything or wait to dry to sand. And I know for certain over this door frame, I can go ahead and prime. So trying to get as much done as I can because I'm trying to remove these renovations as fast as I can because they're all kind of leaching into each other. And I'm still waiting on the permit for the addition. As of this filming, I did speak a little bit with them today, and it's going to require a little bit more documents and information prior to us getting that permit review. But good thing is they're combining it all into one permit because I submitted like 3 to 4 different ones and it was honestly freaking me out. But in any event, rest assured it's gonna get done. And while we wait on that, we can at least get our clothes situation and Corey's, excuse me.
So nasty.
Don't ever bring
so
anybody
rude.
around me like that.
So nasty.
And that's what happened.
So rude.
We can at least get our clothes situation and of course office situation down pat. So really excited about that. So let's go ahead and get to priming. And as you can see, I took those shelves off the wall behind me along with the kind of like brackets that they had on the wall. And if you remember, I told you there was three wall lights that was on this wall. It was the very old like fluorescent style lights. And they had an electrical plug into them in the bottom of it. They just weren't useful. They didn't put out good light. Granted enough, I probably could have changed them over to LED. However, we wanted to move those shelves higher, so it just wouldn't have worked. Now that we have those taken out, the wiring is in good condition. It's brand new wiring. It is grounded, etc. So I'm really happy about that. Our plan is just to put 3 outlets into the wall. One thing I do like that they did on this is on its own circuit. And that's really great because I can turn off here and then use the rest of the plug. Shall I need anything like light or speakers or anything I need to charge my equipment is on its own switch and fuse, if I should say. All right, so those are all studs and my measurements were correct and the visuals are correct. So I'm just gonna leave those 3 screws up there because the next thing that I need to do is make sure the wires are long enough to even get an outlet through there. I was thinking of keeping the wiring right where it is and just cut a hole into the shelf and run an extension cord through there, but I just think that's gonna be a little bit messy. I'd rather go higher if I can, so we'll see how we end up doing that. All right, welcome back everybody. Today we are going to be finally doing the color. Now the space might look a little bit different in terms of what you saw for the shelf and those little lightings underneath that shelf. As you can see, I took those lighting devices out and actually put in receptacles. So there'll be a total of 3 receptacles on the wall. So originally there was, again, those lighting devices there with a plug into them. However, it was integrated in the shelf that was previously there. It was the old fluorescent type with those long bulbs lighting that we were not going to use. Plus, we were changing out the shelf anyway, so it just made sense. So I figured it would be best to do receptacles in that space. That way, if you wanted any lighting, you could just plug it in and put your lamp on the shelf itself. And also I'll put 3 because that's what a total of how many lights were there. So I did 3 receptacles because if Core wanted any oil diffusers, anything that requires any type of electricity, he has more than enough options for any wall that he chooses to do. Plus, we can also run a wire down if you need it for anything else within the room itself. Along with these 3 receptacles in this office, there is another 2 outlets in this office. Now, if you remember in the beginning of this video, I showed you this device called the Singer, which is a radiator. I verified it works. I actually was brave enough to put it on and keep it on to see if it would produce any heat. Needless to say, it works. So the only sad thing about that is I think unfortunately I am going to have to remove it. I know I said we were going to keep it. However, as the wardrobe, the depth is a little bit too much to keep it in that wall, and I just don't want to cut into the wall and just move it. Although it is a possibility, however, we don't use it. Again, I don't really trust it too much in terms of, I don't know what the wiring situation looks behind it. We are certainly going to find out. Needless to say, if we do remove it and figure out that the wiring is okay, if Core really wants to keep it, we will keep it into that wall and just move it a little bit further away from the wardrobe. Or we will go ahead and do another receptacle in lieu of that. So depending on what we find, well, it depends on our next step. So enough with me ranting. I have the color. You remember if I told you it was Muddled Basil, which is like a really, really, really dark green.
So I'm really excited to see how it's gonna look on the wall. So let's go ahead and get to that.
All right, before we get started, I just wanted to go over a couple things that I am using to paint this space. So remember to always have your roller. I always use the microfiber attachment rollers. It's just the best when it comes to applying paint. Normally I use Benjamin Moore paint and they require a lot of these microfiber type rollers. However, the paint we're going to be using is by Sherwin-Williams Duration brand. Now, I have never used this paint before in my life, so it was quite expensive. It was $80 for a gallon, which is just outrageous if you ask me. I don't know if that's the normal for paints nowadays. Usually what Benjamin Moore's Aura brand, I usually spend 60 to 70, and that's not their higher end of the spectrum. I'm not too sure what Duration sits in terms of Sherwin-Williams, line or pyramid, whatever you want to call it. I'm not too sure. But needless to say, $80 is expensive. Now, in terms of the roller itself, what I use is this one that you can kind of lock it into the roller so it doesn't fall off while you're painting. I really love this. Believe it or not, I got this from Ollie's. You can find a lot of great stuff from them. And then, of course, I just use my handy paint tray that I got from, I believe, Ace Hardware, and it has a magnet for your brushes. And then last but not least, I raved about this in my office makeover series. This brush, I don't know what the name of it's called. I'll pop it up in the screen because the tag is a little gone. But this brush for getting around in the corners and getting a clean straight line, this is it, everybody. So highly, highly, highly recommend this and the microfiber roller. So enough of this talking. Let's go ahead and get this paint on the wall. I'm ready to see it on the wall.
Wow, this is thick.
Okay, first impressions of this paint is godly as thick, but look at this coverage. Now, I did use a high-hiding primer by Benjamin Moore that I had tinted into a grid since I'm doing a darker color. I don't know if that's helping or not, but I gotta say, this paint is going on well. So, all right, let's roll that music and get to it. All right, so I just got done painting the first coat, and this paint is weird, everybody. I don't know. I'd never worked with it, so let me retract weird. Let me just say I just never used it before, but it's so thick, and it was just applying so weird. I don't know, but it's on. It's definitely gonna need a second coat, but as it's drying, it is looking a lot better. As it was going on, I was like, ugh, I don't know if this is gonna be. I don't know if I didn't mix it, enough before I started applying it, or they didn't mix it correctly, or it was just a bad color. I was going through it, but I was like, trust the process. I'm gonna let it dry, and I'm gonna see where it goes from here. This wall I painted first, and it's still drying versus all the other walls that I painted, and they're kind of dry. The dry touch time is 1 hour for this paint, and the recoat time is 4 hours, which is insane, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna let this dry overnight and then come back to it to see how it looks in the daytime, of course. It's definitely given a green undertone with it's very dark out here, and I apologize for the horrible lighting, but it's very dark, so outside, I mean, so maybe that's just why it's not
bringing its true color out. So I can't wait to see how it looks tomorrow. But it's an okay paint so far. It's definitely going to need 2 coats, so I'm going to reserve my final judgment for it. The big problem is, or I should say the big hurdle is to see if we hope Corey loves it. He's on his way home from being out of town on a work trip, so hopefully he loves it. If not, his paint is changeable. It just sucks that I paid $80 for that. I just still can't get over that paint. This paint is $80 and it's not even their. I don't think it's their top brand of paint, but we'll see. We'll just see how this works. So I'm gonna let it dry and then we're gonna come back tomorrow. So see you guys in a bit. All right, so we are back another day, and I painted a 3rd coat of. Sorry, it's very windy outside, but we painted a 3rd coat of paint on the walls just to try to get some of that streakiness out of the walls. As you can see, there's still some streakiness in the paint. So I did say I was going to wait till my 3rd coat of paint to give y'all my final thoughts. I don't recommend the Sherwin-Williams Duration paint. I don't know if perhaps mine was not mixed well. I'm not sure. I never had a paint do this to me before. You can see all the streakiness in the paint. I've never had a paint do that to me before. And if you saw in the beginning of this video or some parts of the video, I definitely primed the whole space. So it's definitely not the drywall or anything like that that's causing this issue. I've did all the steps I was supposed to by priming the walls, especially since it was tinted. And I used that primer as well as in my office. You seen that video and you saw how well that paint went on. Now I will go out on a limb and say that the primer that I used was a Benjamin Moore high hiding primer, and the paint that I used was a Sherwin-Williams, but it shouldn't matter. You know, primer is primer, paint is paint. I don't see any specific type instructions on the paint itself, not that I read, that says I have to use particular brands, etc. Either way it goes, I've never run into this before. This is just inexcusable for an $80 paint. I'm really kind of infuriated by it, so I'm just going to stop talking about it, but long story short, don't recommend the brand. I will never buy that brand again. I will stick with my Benjamin Moore and have them color match. So I still haven't decided if I'm just going to go ahead and get it color matched and come in here with Benjamin Moore. Core says it's fine. You don't really see it during the day, but it's not resting well with me. But in any event, we are going to be hanging our shelves on the wall today. As you can see, I have my laser level set up. So I'm going to make sure that this is level, because my leveler, you can set it to, if it gets knocked over and knocked out of alignment, you can align it back. I just seem to never get it to align sometimes, at least not lately. When I used it in my office makeover series, it was working fine. But for some reason, it's not looking right to my eye. So I got a tape measure here that I'm going to measure and make sure it's all lined up before I start going into the wall. And we got our covers, and I picked up my favorite spray paint, which we're gonna go with the Champagne Bronze. If you remember that color, we did that on our floor vents for our AC and heating unit. You still can see some of the streakiness here. So I'm just beside myself with the paint right now. I'm really just very, very, very upset, but the project must go on, and we're gonna get to working on some of the shelves and everything. So let's go ahead and get those hung up. I did also want to show you since I'm not hitting the studs, I could have swore there was studs where you see those screws at, but I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to show you the drywall anchors that I am using. These are the ones that you can screw into the wall. Highly recommend these. This is great. Now, I will say, if you do use these, do not hold this while you are try to keep it straight while you're drilling into the wall, or try to hold it or do something with it while it's spinning. These things are sharp and they will cut you, as you can see there. I don't know what I was trying to do. I just thought it was gonna come loose, so I tried to grab it a little bit and it sliced me that quickly. So very, very sharp. It's just so I can drill into the drywall as it's spinning, but highly recommend these. I literally bought these for our apartment when we first moved here. Never used them, never thought I was gonna use them, but holy crap, I wish I would use these sooner. And I am New York. If in case you wonder, I'm just using this little board that I cut as a little guide to help me make sure that it's level. I could just ignore that. We could measure and just make sure it's up there, but I like some visuals while I drill into the wall. And the troubles I'm having with this drywall, with the paint, with the patching, listen, I'm not making any more unnecessary holes, even though I did over there, but listen, I thought ahead this time. He was a friend. Now I also do take my tape measure and just measure to make sure that they're all even. Just helps me out. $15 3/8. Nice. So next we're gonna finally be putting up these shelves that I actually kept from the demolition process. Now we did decide on the color. If you remember, I was telling you guys that I was gonna try to convince Corey into painting these shelves a color, which we did win that battle, so I'm happy about that. The color that we actually chose for the shelves itself is called Antiquarian Brown by Sherwin-Williams. We actually had a sample of it. If you watch a little bit of this channel and my part 1 or 2 office makeover for my particular office, you would know that I actually tried this color on the wall as I was contemplating going with that color. So I just used that sample color that we have, and then I'm just gonna go over it with a poly. The same poly that I used in my office makeover series for my shelves. So love the Antiquarian Brown, it looks really good on these shelves. So I have these brackets that I put on that you saw, and to put these shelves up, it has 2 holes in the bottom to secure the shelf to the bracket itself. So I'm gonna go ahead with this first shelf. I think this is the shelf that goes on this wall or that wall, but we're gonna start with this one. So let's go ahead and get to that. That is the wrong shelf. No, 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 no. Actually, I have a trouble time with these shelves and how they cut them and whatnot. I'm glad I didn't, buy shelves myself and was gonna cut these to meet the angles of this wall. So even though it's a little crazy of how I have to match these up, at least I don't have to do the cut. So I believe this one goes like, whoa, no. What am I doing?
That doesn't make no sense.
With my life right now. What? Oh, is that it? That's it. Aha. Oh God, I was about to go crazy. No, I wasn't crazy.
Sure, Jan.
Okay, so I have the shelves put up and you can see they line up perfectly. It took quite a bit to figure out the orientation of the shelves, but I finally got them and you see the new outlets. If you all can tell, I painted the ceiling. That is new. And also, I went with a different different paint color, but I went to Benjamin Moore and got my favorite paint color or paint type, which is the Benjamin Moore's Aura brand. And I just had them color match it to the Moto Basil of Sherwin-Williams. I really was not happy with that paint at all. I will probably not use that paint ever again if I don't have to. And I'm just gonna go with my Benjamin Aura paint. As you can see, there is no more streaks. The finish is beautiful, and this is literally one coat. So pick a product, stick with it. I know that's what I'm gonna be doing. Perhaps maybe I just got a bad batch of the Duration brand, or maybe the guy didn't mix it right. I'm not too entirely sure. So I don't know if I would want to take the chance of even trying that particular paint anymore because it was $80. It's not a cheap paint. So I'm going to go with my gut in the future and just go with my Benjamin Moore. All right. Thank you all for tuning in into part 2 of the wardrobe series. Sorry, I'm trying to stand awkwardly to cover up this naughty pig on my wall, but also you might see my sorry girls on the TV. Love their channel. Make sure you check that channel out. Tons of DIY things.
But in part 3 of the wardrobe series, what you're going to be seeing is me taking up the subfloor and laying down our laminate waterproof flooring that we got from Flooring Decor for a great deal, amongst some other things such as our wardrobes that we found from Amazon, and kind of bringing that whole space together. Now, I don't know if there's going to be a part 4 of this series. Hopefully I can kind of get it all together in the part 3, and that'll be the final, video for this wardrobe series. As again, I'm kind of fine-tuning some things right now as we speak, and literally there's not too much more to do in there, but I have a tendency to kind of go overboard when it comes to my projects. So one thing leads to another, and we're 4 to 5 episodes deep. But I'll promise I'll try to make sure that does not happen. But in any event, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.